11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
What time we get up here? All right, now we can play the thing for this.
CureWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at CureWebsites.com.
All right, welcome everybody. Getting here late to the show. We're blaming the co-host here. He's bad, and that's why we're late. So on Mondays with Liberty's Echo, we take a look back. Well, we alternate between live interviews and taking a look back at interviews from the past. And them kids out there with their radios. You hear them kids out there with their radios? So Woods is asking, what are the choices? Pretty much anything that we've did a video of in the past. So we're going to head over to our YouTube channel. I could put it over here behind the puppy to make it easy. And we could go to our playlists. And somewhere in here, we'll have a playlist called, I don't know, something like interviews, I'm hoping. Got a lot of playlists. And maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe we don't have a playlist called interviews. You would think we would. What did I call it before? Maybe I called it something. There's my interviews. So I'm going to go back to the main page, and maybe I've got it on the main page, and that'd be good. I used to have it on the main page. No, I don't. All right, so we'll go back to I guess we can go to videos. I wonder if videos will also get lives. And type in interview. All right, there we go. Got some interviews now. We just did Mike Detty last time. We got the guy from Masterpiece Arms, Phil Cashin. That's from a long time ago. Got Kerry McWilliams, the blind shooter. That's from Gun Rights Policy Conference 2018. And let's see. I think we'd have some more in here by now. I just typed in interview, so I guess that wasn't a good thing to type in there. We got Cheryl Todd. Boy, I really need to go in and reorganize my playlist, I guess, for the interviews. There's probably a couple in there with Toby. I don't know if I have a whole hour with Tony Simon. Woods is saying I vote whatever the oldest one is. That's interesting. So how do I get to that playlist? Oh, you know what? I know how to do it. What if I go back one and I go to this Dennis Tuller interview? So that's Dennis Tuller. That's from 12 years ago, from 2011. Let's see what playlists this thing is in. None. 2A interviews. Okay. You can stay in there, but I just need to get back to my own playlist then. And do a search for two-way interviews. And then we get, click on the full playlist right here. All right, so I got one with Masad Ayub from 13 years ago, but that's only 2 minutes long. 14 years ago, 12, 9, 11, 9, 10, 11, 13. I think 14 years ago is going to be the longest. All right, so we'll go knock out some of these old ones. All right, where'd that one go? So I'm going to type in Richard Marcinko because that'd be our oldest ones. All right, and we'll try to do this again. All right, and quit it already. All right, so now we can paste in Richard Marcinko. Is that going to work? Nope. All right, fine. So we'll just type in Marcinko. So the first one will be 14 years ago. That one's a radio show interview. And then So what the heck? I guess maybe I didn't do videos back in the day with Marcinko. All right, so this will be an old one. It's only 3 minutes long. I think we played this one before.
Back to the phones. Pete, you're live on America Armed and Free with Commander Richard Marcinko and Charles Heller. Your question for him.
Mr. Marcinko, it's a real honor to be able to answer your question. I've got 2 real quick questions, and I'll take the answers off the air.
Okay.
Back during Red Cell, did you ever go to Tucson? And if so, what was the result? And then my second question is, what's your opinion on the debate between the AK-47 and the M16?
Well, the first one, I went to Tucson and places around Tucson, down to Pachuca, went down to the border. It's like most of our cities in a free society. I think going to Davis Moffin and picking a litter out of there would have been fun. Everybody could build their own plane out of the dump out there. On the AK-47,
we'll call that a mark, sir. Go ahead.
On the AK-47 versus the M16, one, if you're working independently behind the lines, it's nice to have the lighter load. But most, you don't have that 5.56 around the world, so carrying the AK-47 logistically is you get something there. And frankly, I'm a big boy, and I can carry that extra weight, and I like that as it goes by you versus that. And the 223 5.56 does a nice tumble and tears you up on the inside, but I like that knockdown power of the 7.62 that comes out of the AK, and it's great in the field. I mean, you can get it muddy. It's got great tolerances. So functionally, I guess I would go that internationally the AK-47 has more functional capability. The M16, if you got a logistics training goes with you, it's fine.
I guess that the AK must have John Moses Browning envy in the way it functions.
Well, the interesting, I actually met Karishnikov in St. Petersburg.
Oh, did you?
He's 82 years old, and still a feisty old general. I mean, I went to their museum there, and he really put out a family of weapons through the course of his time.
Yeah, as they used to say, Kalashnikov, we are the world.
Well, he did his part, that's for damn sure.
One of the scenarios you sent me in support, in some support literature off the air, talks about something that when I observed it myself firsthand last year, struck me as a tremendous terrorism target. And I'm specifically referring to Boston Harbor.
Yeah.
When you look at the layout of downtown Boston, the harbor goes right into it. On top of that, there's a liquefied petroleum terminal very close by. How likely is it that terrorists have figured that out, and what could be done to stop an attack that's in progress?
Well, it's an open press, and you can't stop it in progress. Most of our detection equipment says they're coming. There they are.
All right. So that was an interview with Marcinko on Charles Heller's radio show back in whatever that was, 2009. But I think
the gods have spoken.
I posted that video in 2009. I talked to him in 2005. So in 2005, I talked to Marcinko on the radio. And then I think in 2007, no, it would have been 2006, I met Marcinko at SHOT Show. And I was like, hey, I'm the guy that asked a question about Tucson and the M16. He's like, oh, okay. And then we chatted for a bit. And then the next time I met him was in 18. And he was like, oh, hey, and you recognize me. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So, that was mission accomplished. Like, Marcinko recognized me out of all the people at SHOT Show. And again, we chatted for a bit. That was pretty awesome. And then in 2009, what did I say? That was 2008. In 2009, we got to Florida, and that's when this one gets recorded. And this is a cool story. I'll play the video first. So he was signing blades at, what was the name of the Striker? I can't remember the name of the knife company. Strider knives. And he was signing the knives that you bought from him right there with an engraver. So they're just chit-chatting. Greg's asking him about video games, like some dumb video game question.
I'm ready.
So he was signing books, and he was also signing those knives if you bought them. I guess that's when Gold Team was coming out. So the way that worked was this was like the third time I had met up with him, and just met him at SHOT Show. It's not like we were meeting up, but Greg really wanted to meet him. I had mentioned that I had met him before and that he was cool and that he remembered me and stuff. So Greg really wanted to meet him. We go hang out, and it's one of the first things we did at SHOT Show that year, or at least whenever he was at the booth. We made sure to do that immediately when he was at the booth signing. We get over there, and he was like essentially getting like bothered by some dude, and you could totally tell. So as soon as he sees me and Greg standing there, he's like, oh, I got something important to do. And he starts talking to us. And then he kind of said, thanks for getting rid of this other guy that he was talking to. So I felt like we helped him out there a little bit. And that was like, I think I met him one time after that even. But it was more like a nod because he was talking to somebody. So anyway, that was our interactions with Marcinko. So Marcinko is totally awesome. Yeah, he's the guy Woods was asking. So back in Vietnam, he created the idea of essentially just going after the enemy, going right back after him. And he became one of the most wanted Americans during the war. So after the war, he had a reputation of just getting things done. So at the time after the incident in the Middle East with what was that called now? I can't think of the name of the operation, where the helicopters had the issues going in to rescue hostages. That's when the Navy said, well, let's start a SEAL team for hostage rescue devoted to that. So that's when SEAL Team 6 came out, and Marcinko was tasked with standing that up or creating that SEAL team specifically for counterterrorism and hostage rescue. So eventually, time went on and that changed and merged and stuff. But whenever he left SEAL Team 6 from that role, the chief commandant of the Navy or whoever, chief secretary or one of the top people in the Navy, comes to him and says, I want you to make sure that you know more about terrorists than anybody else because you've been training to fight the terrorists. I want you to act as terrorists and test all of our facilities, test our nuclear subs and test our ports and things like that. So that was what Red Cell was called, Operation Red Cell. And that was a couple of years worth of Marcinko and his, mostly guys from SEAL Team 6 that were driving around the country, or the world, doing that. Now, whether or not it's public knowledge or not, there was also the idea that Red Cell would be the cover for a bunch of operations around the world. So they had two teams in Red Cell, and one of the teams would be testing U.S. installations vulnerabilities, and the other team was taking out real operational orders around the world. So, but they say that never happened, but they say a lot of things. So then Marcinko got out of all that and started writing books, and he's written quite a few fiction books, but his nonfiction books are some of my favorite books. He's written books on leadership and on, mostly leadership, and super interesting, insightful, useful books. I guess leadership focused on leadership for teams, and then leadership focused on business. And most of the people from the special operations during the Cold War, at a time when we weren't fighting the global war on terror, did a lot of business classes and a lot of business schools. So Marcinko's a representation of the kind of writings that came out at that time. And that inspired a bunch of people to enlist, honestly. So you listen to the interviews nowadays, and so many people read Red Cell or Rogue Warrior and then his other fiction books. But Red Cell is nonfiction, Rogue Warrior is nonfiction, his leadership books are nonfiction. And then, you can take it for a grain of salt whether his fiction books are nonfiction or not. Anyway, so that's Marcinko, and always respected the dude. I ended up first hearing about him. I got a book on tape and started listening to him in probably the 2000s, 90s, late 90s, 2000s. And every time a new book would come out, we'd be buying it in paper. You had to buy it in paper before you get it on tape. And a whole bunch of us would get the book and then pass it around and then chit-chat about it. They were super cool books. All right, let me cough here. So that wasn't very long. That was only about 18 minutes. So I don't think I have any other stuff from me. So we'll go to this Johnny Rowland shooting show flashback where he's chatting with Charlie Beckworth, the guy that created Delta Force.
Sir, I understand. Thank you. As part of our 2A history project, here is a blast from the past. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very fine guest here today. This is none other than Colonel Charlie Beckwith, whom many of you will know from his Delta Force novels. Of course, he's been a military officer. He's been in intelligence work all these years. Green Beret, one of the most qualified military experts in small arms and all sorts of training situations and procedures, known, in fact, worldwide. And we're so pleased to be here with him today. Sir, I understand.
Thank you, John.
Well, one, it's a great pleasure meeting you, and this is what is so nice. People come to this man from all over the world, many different countries, and they ask his opinion because here's a man who has been in so many real confrontational or combat situations. And sir, I'd like to say it's a pleasure meeting you for me. I mean, it's a big deal for me.
We've had a good visit.
Hey, we've had a good time.
You've brought up a lot of things to me, and you had a lot of messages, and I've been remiss for not knowing you earlier.
Well,
and I really have enjoyed it, and I'm very concerned. I'm a gun enthusiast, and when I hear you speak and the message that you have, it frightens me, because the people in Washington obviously are trying to take my guns away from me.
Well,
I don't like that.
Well, I think you're right. And of course, I'm going to venture to say that 99% of the other military personnel will feel just like you.
Well, they're not attuned to what's going on, in my view. I would hope that any veteran that's watching this program would be concerned that what he fought for this great country, for the Second Amendment, for the right to prove to the world that you're an American and a member of the greatest fighting machine, the greatest country in the world. And then I hear that we're going to stop all that. We're not going to put flags on uniforms. We're not going to have U.S. on uniforms. We're not going to put American flags on some of our aircraft, among other mobile vehicles. And that bothers me. I don't like that.
Well, I think what you're saying, we don't want to be part of a one world government.
I don't.
I don't
want my family to be a part of it.
We're Americans first.
Absolutely.
And what these, and sir, and he has asked me to call him Charlie. I honorably would say Colonel Beckwith, but what we're faced with is the socialists in Washington, and that's what they are. They're socialists in Washington, literally want to take our rights away as individuals. And I think your message today is to all those military people out there, and anybody who has an inkling of military history and knowledge about this man here knows that he is sincere, has been a decorated patriot, certainly all these years. And his message, your message is to these veterans that we have got to get involved.
Spend 29 cents. And each veteran, if he'd spend 29 cents and write a letter to his representative in the Congress and explain that he is not happy with what's taking place with gun control, among other things that have been mentioned here on this program, I think that you would really do strike a blow for freedom.
Well, I think Colonel Beckwith, Charlie, sir, will agree with me. If we lose that Second Amendment, well, we're dead. Our Constitution is suddenly ineffective. Hey, friends, wait a minute. If we give up our rights as citizens, do you think that these people who are manipulating our government, do you think they're going to give our rights back? Do you think they have our best interests at heart? Well, absolutely not. And we need to work together. And we appreciate, of course, all our viewers and you military personnel who have been involved. Some of you have fought for this country in the past. Some of you are injured today. Some are carrying scars from battlefields at far distances. We need everyone's help. And we absolutely cannot give this thing away. We absolutely cannot. And Charlie, sir, thank you so much. For
really
meeting
enjoyed
you.
visiting with
We
you.
really have.
I want you to come back to Texas.
Well, hey, we're going to do it. Good.
Let me stir somebody up. I'm gonna get a big shit. Oh, don't worry about that shit. We'll do that later. Just stick with that message. Yeah, I ain't worried about it.
So, and that's the guy that started Delta Force and quite a few other things before that. And there's not too many interviews that I'm aware of with him, so that's kind of neat to see. Johnny Rowland getting that one in there. Let's see. So I don't think I've got anything else that's too old. We're about 20 minutes in. We could maybe do another short one in here. Besides this short one. This dog is pretty short. Try searching again if it'll do it for... Nope. For
to a interview. Problem is, I got a bunch of these cartoons in here, and these are just like little 2-3 minute blurbs that I never talked to the person. All right, well, I'm not finding any others, so go back and just get rid of interview. Woods is saying read Rogue Warrior in like 98, 99. Man, that might have been when I read it. I don't know. I remember it was in a car trip. I'm just trying to remember when that car trip was. Oh, here's one called Second Amendment Activist. Here's a better playlist. I probably should save this one and play this one later. All right, well, most of these are an hour, so we're not going to do an hour one right now, but I did find a bunch of them. So that's what we'll do. We'll use this one next week, or not next week. Next week will be Jeff Knox, so we'll have Jeff Knox back on if you want to listen to some interesting stuff about the NRA. We had a chat with Jeff during Every Second Matters. It was probably about 3 hours of that show. And let's see, we've got the week after that, we'll have Alex Ulian from The Forge of Freedom, the podcast, and out of Indiana. And then the week after that is question mark. We'll still have to schedule that one. But yeah, we're getting the ball rolling here on the interviews again. If you've got ideas or suggestions, of course, feel free to put them in there. DJ Sandwoods, book it for December. Is he booking out of here? So with that, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks, everybody, for joining us live. If you're listening to us as a podcast, this one was sort of a blast from the past version of Liberty's Echo. Like I say, we'll have the idea is to have an alternating interview from the past and new ones. But I guess that's going to require me to go find all my ones from the past. So stay tuned for a list of our old interviews, our past interviews. And yeah, we'll be back to pick you up later.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
This dog was about halfway bad today, so he's tired. I'll do this one for Patriot.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
If you notice in the background behind all this, I've been listening to the Jocko podcast, 5 hours and 38 minutes with Drago, who is a guy who grew up in Poland under communism, well, socialism under Poland, and then went to jail for being trying to do free speech. When he got out of jail, he left Poland, came to the United States, eventually became a SEAL, lots of tours overseas. Now he's back and just wrote a book about that story. And there's about 10 hours worth of conversation with him and Jocko alone, and then a couple other places he's done interviews. Very interesting story, very interesting dude. We'll go back to listening to that here after the show.